trust your gut, and then find your own words to speak up about it. Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Lee, the Director of Coaching at Win Without Pitching, and I'm back at you with another Ask Me Anything question. Today's question comes from Dallin Harris, and we met Dallin at one of our workshops that we used to do, in real life, in-person workshops we used to do before this pandemic hit in Scottsdale, I believe. And it's so good to hear from you again, Dallin. Let's hear his question.
Hey, Blair, this is a terrific idea that you're doing here. I want to ask my question. So my name's Dallin. I attended a workshop about 1.5 years ago in Scottsdale, and I've been implementing this to great success, I would say, but I run into one problem pretty routinely, and it's when I start asking about value. I have noticed when I'm talking to the more executive folks, like you suggested, they're the ones that are worried about value creation. They're the ones that even have the numbers to answer my questions and also the willingness to talk about value. However, I still run into this issue when I start asking about it, where I don't know if it's just in my head or it seems to be I'm picking up cues in the room that it's like not my business, or it's uncomfortable to ask about, how much money exactly are you guys making off of this? It feels like I get kind of round numbers or kind of squeamish looks. And I've never worked up the courage to ask the next question, which is, what do you think would be fair to split with to share with the person who brought you this value? I, so far, have usually ended up chickening out and giving some other reason, like, hey, I'm only asking about value because it helps me craft my scope and focus on those things that are more valuable to you. Or, hey, knowing what the value on this thing is helps us justify the cost to others in your organization who might ask. But I do remember in the workshop you kind of going down this path where you're like, yeah, we charge more for more value created. Duh. And it was just kind of this like owned it. Yeah, bigger company, bigger value. Yeah, we charge more. You got it. I haven't been able to work up the courage to take that approach. I'm wondering if you can give any words of wisdom on getting over that next hurdle of it. And what I end up doing is quoting a fair bit higher than I normally would have, but I don't feel like I'm capturing nearly the value that I'm generating for these folks. Thanks.
Oh, Dallin, thank you so much for that question. It's a big one, right? I could probably talk on and on about this question in particular. So kudos to you for getting out there and trying it, because you'll remember from the workshop, we encourage you to get out there and do as many practice value conversations as possible. It's the only way to master the value conversation. You are going to fumble into it. You are going to make mistakes. That is okay. What I really picked up on that I love and just want to celebrate with you for a moment is you're listening to your gut. You're trusting your gut. You are watching the room. You are listening to questions, reading facial expressions on, from your audience, and you're seeing that something is off there. And so that's the first step, right? The first step is trust your gut and then find your own words to speak up about it. I took a few notes because there's some things that I want to kind of highlight here as we're talking about this. The first is trust your gut. I also think that you need to find your own language in any type of scenario that we're guiding you around at Win Without Pitching. You mentioned Blair and his amazing confidence when it comes to just saying, hey, this is the price. We are more expensive than most, and that's that. That works great for Blair. It might not work great for you. It's really important for you to bring Dallin to that conversation and to be yourself. And when something feels off, just to feel okay to say, hey, I want to go back and just talk about that a little bit because I'm sensing you might not be comfortable sharing numbers with me. And I just want to check in and see if there's something going on that maybe we should dig into a little further, or maybe the way I asked the question just wasn't clear. So let me go at it from another direction. So I think you should really, as you continue to practice the value conversation, practice finding your own language with it. The other thing to think about is it may in fact be your approach or the way you ask, and maybe because you're practicing and you're a little bit uncomfortable, that's coming across that way, and that's okay. When I am in the middle of a value conversation or coaching a value conversation, I also like to use the word investment versus how much would you spend on a project like this, or how much would this be worth to you to do this project with us? I find that to sometimes be a little bit off-putting in terms of language and kind of putting that person on the offensive, having to answer something that they're not quite sure how to answer. And so I like to use the language based on what we've talked about today. If we were able to come back to you with some ideas that would help you solve this problem, what kind of an investment would you be willing to make to help us bring you an extra 5 million in revenue, for example? And then stop talking, bring out that silence. But how much would you be willing to invest? What kind of an investment would you be willing to make? Sometimes that's language that feels more open, right? And more conversational and sets people up to think about working with you as just that, an investment instead of another line item in their budget that they have to deal with. The other thing that came up is maybe it has something to do with positioning. I didn't get a chance to take a look at your website and see how you're positioned, but if you're getting pushback from senior leaders, and it's great that you're talking to senior leaders, I wonder if they are seeing you as meaningfully different, if that might have something to do with it as well. I'm not sure. You'll have to kind of think about that one and think about who's been around the table and have you done a good job of making the flip happen, that moment in the conversation where they go from seeing you as the vendor to seeing you as the expert and seeing you as meaningfully different than your competitors. And I think the other thing is the whole goal of the value conversation is to unlock as much value for your client as possible. And then there are these many delightful benefits, one of them being you get to be more profitable and charge more as a result. And so you want to make sure that you're delivering that message to that client that, hey, we're here to really understand what your wants and your needs are, your future vision for this organization, to figure out how we might be able to help, how we might be able to unlock some extraordinary value for you. We want to dig in and understand what the obstacles might be, how we might measure success, and then figure out what might be a fair way to compensate us for that, with the entire goal being to make sure we bring a lot of value for you, Miss Client. So sometimes I think it's just a little bit of explaining why are we having this conversation in the first place? Because for a lot of clients, they haven't been part of a value conversation either. And finally, and then I'll shut up, remember that you can't value price everybody. It's probably about 20% of your portfolio in the beginning, let's say, or in the first years of value pricing that you can actually value price clients, maybe 20% of your clients. And so also kind of have your spidey senses up for that to make sure that you're not trying to enter into value conversations with everybody and kind of maybe handpicking those that you enter into value conversations with. Okay, Dallin, you sent in a big question and I really appreciate it. And I could go on and on, like I said, but I'll stop. So thank you so much. And I hope this was helpful. And for the rest of you, please check us out on our new Ask Me Anything YouTube channel. Just go to winwithoutpitching.com/askmeanything, register, ask your question, hit the notification bell so that when we do answer a question and post it on the YouTube channel, you'll get a notification and you can hear what we have to say. Take care, everybody. Cheers.